open chair. So if you see those hands, that's where there's an open chair at the moment. Maybe keep your hands up until you have a partner there. That would be fantastic. So find somebody with an open chair, a hand up. Thank you all.
It's good. Yeah. No, I still can't. Okay, there you go. All right. Check 1, 2. Check, check. A little more mic if I could, please. Come, lonely hunter, chieftain and king, I will fly like the falcon when I go. Bear me, my brother, under your wing. I will strike, fell like lightning when I go. I will bellow like the thunder drum, invoke the storm of war, a twisting pillar spun of dust and blood up from the prairie floor. I will sweep the foe before me like a gale out on the snow, and the wind will long recount the story, reverence and glory when I go. Spring spirit dancer, nimble and thin, I will leap like coyote when I go. Tireless entrancer, lend me your skin. I will run like the gray wolf when I go. I will climb the rise at daybreak. I will kiss the sky at noon. Raise my yearning voice at midnight to my mother in the moon. I will make the lay of long defeat and draw the chorus slow. I'll send this message down the wire and hope that someone wise is listening when I go. And when the sun comes trumpets from his red house in the east, he will find the standing stone where long I managed my release. He will strike the stone at daybreak. He will draw the chorus slow, and I will crumble down incountable in showers of crimson rubies when I go. Sigh, mournful sister, whisper and turn. I will rattle like dry leaves when I go. Stand in the mist where my fire used to burn. I will camp on the night breeze when I go. And should you glimpse my wandering form out on the borderline between death and resurrection and the council of the pines, do not worry for my spirit, do not sorrow for me so. All your diamond tears will rise up and adorn the sky beside me when I go.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the family, I just would like to thank you for being here. If you would, I'd like to invite you to take a few deep breaths. With every inhale, we feel our connection here to every single person in this room. With every exhale, we realize what that connection is. closed flower finally finding its sun, where his Saturn sits on her sun, and her Saturn sits on his. What are the odds? Open, open, open up to love, and be loved. And why do we risk to love? Look around. Do you feel the love? That's why.
Carolyn, can you see through me? Carolyn, can you see through me? I want to show you everything, everything about me. Why, oh why, oh why, oh why, oh that's why.
It is my privilege to welcome you this afternoon. I am the Reverend Chloe Bride, and I'm the minister here at Emerson Unitarian Universalist Church. We gather on this Sunday to honor and mourn the life of the Dr. Carolyn Martin. Carolyn died on Thursday, October 10th, at the age of 64. Her ashes are held lovingly in the care of her family. We gather today to celebrate the life of one who has passed. We come together in tears, laughter, and silence to remember and honor our special one. So today I invite you to be present, to listen, and to share. Remember that together we form a community united in our memories of Carolyn. As Unitarian Universalists, when we gather, we begin by lighting the flaming chalice, the symbol of our faith that embodies the light of reason, the search for truth and meaning, the warmth of friendship and community, and the fire of commitment, of our commitment, to bring more justice and compassion to a hurting world. Today, Jennifer, Sydney, and Tyler will light our chalice.
Mom loved books and loved to read. So for this chalice lighting, we picked a quote by Kate DiCamillo from The Tale of Despereaux, a story of a small mouse who undergoes the biggest quest of his life.
Love, as we have already discussed, is a powerful, wonderful, ridiculous thing, capable of moving mountains and spools of thread.
We'll now have a reading from Carolyn, who's going to read Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 11.
This is a reading from the book of Ecclesiastes. There is a time for everything under heaven. There is an appointed time for everything, and a time for every affair under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to be far from embraces. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. God has made everything appropriate to its time and has put the timeless into their hearts without men's discovering from beginning to end the work which God has done. This is the word of the Lord.
Thank you. We will now sing a hymn called Blue Boat Home. You may be familiar with the melody if you're not a Unitarian Universalist. It's a hymn that speaks to the beauty of the earth and is meaningful to many Unitarian Universalists. So you're invited to stand to sing Blue Boat Home.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I traveled, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. My universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is our blue boat home.
It's nice to see so many of you here to celebrate Carolyn. My name is Mandy, and I'm the best friend. My eulogy will be through the lens of being her friend, and later on you'll hear some stories from family members. Carolyn died at the age of 64. I knew her for 63 of those years. Our families lived down the block from one another in Bakersfield, and one day, both of our mothers were pushing their strollers with us in them, and we met, and that started a lifelong friendship. We played Barbies together, colored together, made mud pies, and sang along to our favorite records. Our favorite song was Downtown, played by her mother Eileen at the piano, who looked after us as her father Glenn was at work. Her nickname was Fred, and mine was Ralph. And we never could remember why we came up with those names. Her home was always lively, as she had 4 siblings, older sister Mary Lou, and younger siblings Donald, Jean-Ann, and Patricia. After our playtime was over and it was time to go home, our mothers would come to collect us. I remember being in my mother's arms, seeing Carolyn in her mother's arms, both of us desperately reaching out to each other, crying, "I don't want to go, I want to be with my friend." We continued saying this to each other into our 60s. We were in the same kindergarten class. To pass kindergarten, we had to learn to read a clock and demonstrate we could tie our shoes. I had a hard time with my shoes, but somehow I managed to pass. In first grade, we were placed in different classes. When my shoelaces came untied, I would wait for recess and find Carolyn, who would tie them for me. She never made fun of me. She never embarrassed me. She never put me off because she was playing with her new classmates. She was kind, helpful, and supportive. And that's who she was when she was 7 years old. Maybe if you're a family member, friend, or patient, you saw in her those qualities of kindness and caring. She wasn't putting it on. She didn't have to learn it. That was who she was at her core. Around 3rd grade, Carolyn had a severe case of appendicitis and was rushed to the hospital. I was told she could have died, but no, she had 55 more years ahead. My guess was it was around then that she started to become interested in medicine and how bodies work. It was also the beginning of her lifelong journey facing health concerns. But she bounced back. We spent summers participating in synchronized swimming with her sisters, playing word games with her mother, and on occasion, Jean-Ann, who would make us laugh with her propensity to invent words, making chocolate chip cookies and dreaming of our futures. Once we got into Highland High School, our focus went to imagining what it would be like to kiss a boy. We both had our eyes on boys we were interested in. Carolyn was first to kiss hers. I got to hear the story, and it involved playing pool, and that's all I'm saying. Friends have to keep secrets. When she was 16, she got her driver's license and was a very good driver. I was still trying to learn, and after a lesson with my father, when we discovered that he did not have the temperament to be in a car with a young driver who was making mistakes, Carolyn offered to teach me. Carolyn was so trustworthy, my parents knew it was safe to have their untrained teenager at the wheel of a car with another teenager. Carolyn had a keen intellect, a remarkable memory, did all of her homework, and was a straight A student. Even so, she was shy and insecure. As a middle child, she sometimes felt unseen and invisible. We were in a speech class together, and she had to do a 10-minute dramatic interpretation. She selected Paul Zindel's The Effect of Gamma Rays on Man in the Moon Marigolds. She portrayed Tilly, a daughter with whom she shared some things in common. Tilly felt awkward and that she didn't fit in, but she was smart. And during the play, she discovers her own value and her ability to survive and triumph. She proves this to herself through science. See some overlap? I can still visualize Carolyn standing in front of the class saying this final line. Most important, I suppose, my experiment has made me feel important. Every atom in me, in everybody, has come from the sun, from places beyond our dreams. Carolyn graduated, winning multiple honors, awards, and scholarships. She was accepted to an elite private college, Chapman University, where she began her pursuit of a bachelor's of science. Her insecurity was still in play, and she did the freshman bad choices and the unhealthy relationship thing and the whole 9 yards. Though she did very well at Chapman, she decided to transfer to Cornell University to study chemistry. However, she became pregnant, and the chemicals she was supposed to deal with in lab classes were not so good for a pregnant woman, so she had to drop out. I went to visit her after that, where she was living on an egg ranch in New York as she waited for the birth of her daughter. Now with a toddler, she transferred to the University of Redlands, joining her sister Jean Ann. She was able to give her young daughter love and attention while acing her classes and graduating Phi Beta Kappa with a BS in chemistry. She soon enrolled at Los Angeles College of Chiropractic, earning a second BS in human biology and her Doctor of Chiropractic in 1988. She launched a successful practice as a chiropractor, providing holistic care to grateful patients. Always learning, she was deep into medical journals, nutrition, the mechanics of movement, and holistic practice. She was known for her compassion and professionalism. I also think her own medical journey gave her insights and played a part in her being the gifted healer and exceptional doctor that she became. Many of her patients looked to her as their primary physician. I know for me, I relied on her for information and advice, for coaching on what to say in a doctor's visit, as I quickly learned that she often knew more of the latest research than my own doctors did. I also know that I am not the only one in this room who depended on her knowledge and are now at a loss about our future medical care. At some point after starting her career, she came to terms that her relationship was truly unhealthy and decided to end it. This was a difficult period for her. But from my view, two positive things came from that relationship. The first was the spectacular human being that is her daughter, Jennifer, who has a successful career and marriage and is a whiz at languages. The second was her sense of self. Some end a bad relationship and become bitter. Some become depressed and lose hope. For Carolyn, she knew she was worthy, and she learned to become an advocate for herself. She deserved better, just like Tilly, the character she played in high school. She was ready to articulate what she needed and demand that she get it. She was hungry to be in a relationship with someone who was willing to work together as a team, to row with her together in the same direction. It was this reinvigorated, dynamic woman with a strong spine and not willing to settle that Scott approached in a dance club in Hollywood. He was 11 years younger, very handsome and charismatic, and he recognized something special in this older woman. The spark between them was evident. It was around now that Carolyn's second serious medical bout came to be. She didn't feel well. She did her research and diagnosed herself with lymphoma. She went to her doctor, who patronized her and didn't take her seriously. So she sought out a second doctor who did the same thing and told her she didn't have anything to worry about. That is where many people would say, well, I guess I'm wrong. But not Carolyn, who found a third doctor who listened to her and said, well, let's do a test. And what do you know? You were right. Then came a rough course of chemotherapy and that ravished her insides and some intense radiation. The room where the radiation took place was underground, cold and sterile. So she asked if she could put fairy tale drawings around the entrance. The techs were confused, but allowed her to do so. She was owning her experience and asking for what she needed, a lesson for us all. It was during this time that I came to believe her relationship with Scott was the real deal, as this was not fun. It was not pleasant, and he stayed by her side. What next? A beautiful wedding, followed by the birth of two beautiful children. Tyler, now a musician and great chef, and Sydney, a talented artist and budding archivist. Who would have thought a doctor and an engineer would raise two artists? Carolyn devoted herself to her marriage and children, driving children to activities, celebrating achievements, creating family traditions, offering support, and working diligently with Scott to maintain and grow their relationship. She was the anchor to her family. She loved to cook using organic ingredients and was religious about having 5 servings of fruit and vegetables daily, some of which she grew in the garden and others which she found at the farmer's market. She spent many morning hours on nearby trails hiking. She found regular exercise and yoga to be essential to staying healthy. She got to travel to many countries, including her mother's home country of Canada, Italy, where Sydney was studying art, several other European countries, and Mexico. She loved reading and having a nice cup of tea, maybe followed by a bubble bath, and some time with the dog. She was active with this church and groups including Al-Anon and Healing Empowerment Release. She enjoyed spending time with friends and family. She was responsible, intelligent, and an accomplished professional, but at home, she loved to laugh, be silly, dance, be playful, and never forgot the delight of tapping into her inner child. It was this side of her that I loved the most. In her later life, atrial say it for me? Started to be a problem. She employed many strategies to deal with it, including cardiac ablation that helps to treat irregular heartbeats. I am wholly convinced if someone else was given her body, they would not have been able to live half as long as she did. She was determined. She had the spirit to live, to raise her children, of whom she was super proud, love her husband, spend time with her friends and extended family, and heal her patients, all of which she was able to accomplish against the odds with great finesse. When I think of Carolyn, I first say, I don't want you to go. I want to be with my friend. But then I think of how forever grateful I am to have known you, Fred. And I will carry you with me in my heart for the rest of my life.
I now invite Jenny up to introduce Scott's song.
True love cannot be found where it does not exist, nor can it be denied where it does. When you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible. And that is exactly what happened with Scott and Carolyn. Scott was 19 and Carolyn was 30 when they met. They had a beautiful friendship at first. But once Scott played this song for Carolyn, she realized he was serious about her and that she wanted him forever. The song transformed their friendship into an everlasting love. To find your soulmate and your best friend in this life is so rare. Scott and Carolyn are blessed to have had experienced that love. And they have created the most beautiful family and life together that will live on forever. Now I encourage all of you to please close your eyes. Really embody Carolyn's spirit and picture her beautiful face light up and smile while Scott plays the song that turned their friendship into true love.
Somebody could have warned me to not perform.
Jack Oliver will now share a prayer. And I believe these were the prayers that were said at Thanksgiving, am I right? Every year.
Please bow your heads as we pray. God, we come to you today with heavy hearts. We are just so grateful for the life that Carolyn lived, God, that we were able to just cherish being in relationship with her, God. Thank you so much for the person that she was, the kind, compassionate, loving person that was so many things to so many people, God. I ask that we would grieve well, that we would lean on each other, that we would support each other, that we would be encouraging to each other, God. And I just ask that we would continue to just be reminded of Carolyn and her life and the person that she was, God. We're grateful for the fact that you're always with us. We ask that your presence would continue to be felt as we continue on, God. I ask that we would look to you and look to your love. We thank you so much for the blessing that Carolyn was. In your name, amen. At this time, we'll be observing a moment of silence in honor of Carolyn. Thank you.
This is a remembrance slideshow that was created by Sydney and Tyler. So we hope you enjoy these photos, and Jennifer, all these photos of Carolyn at different moments during her life. Now is a time for the sharing of memories. We will begin with some of Carolyn's friends and family and then have a brief open mic time. We're going to start now with Scott.
Yeah, so a lot of Mandy's eulogy was, so I just had a couple little things I wanted to add, and I have a lot of stories, so you can ask. But, when we were dating, I remember her saying, Scott, we're just playing around. I was a teenager. I was 19, and she was 30, and I said, no, I'm not playing around. And she, I could picture her face saying, oh, okay. And then I remember my first day as a husband, right? So we get married, and I go to this cruise ship, and the tile's broken in our bathroom, and she's like, you go down to the front and tell them your wife is really upset. And so, can you picture me as a first day as a husband? I'm walking down telling my, that's funny. I remember crying when Tyler was born. He was like our little alien with, hair. And I remember counting with Tyler, and we have all the staff in the room. They're like, okay, ready, we're ready to have the baby. And they all left to get ready. And I'm only there counting in the middle of the night or morning. But so I remember saying it was really me supporting Carolyn. And then Sydney, that before we got pregnant with Sydney, they thought the cancer was coming back, and the doctor said to Carolyn, whatever you do, don't get pregnant. Yeah, and so Carolyn got pregnant. So. And, I'm so glad we had our little surprise. So we built a house together. We remodeled the house in 2005, and it was really, really like ultimate teamwork. spending money and trying to make decisions on a daily basis. And then early on, we used to make fun of some people, like they used to say, "Oh, honey," when we were dating, and we still said, honey to each other. So better be careful with what you make fun of, And an astrologist read our signs too. That the whole thing with I could picture this woman saying, like, "What perfect match, your Saturn fits on my sun, and her Saturn fits on my sun." We were really good together. With the psychology work, oh yeah, this is funny. With the psychology work we used to do, she did body psychology, and so once a year I would go into the class and take off my shirt, and she would draw with magic marker on me, like this is the ocular and this is the mouth, and like the arms are with the heart, right? So, and I really did not mind it at all. So one of my best days of my life was I was at Esalen. It's a resort up in halfway to San Francisco in Big Sur, California. And I remember falling asleep after a massage, and I wake up, and Carolyn's talking to a stranger at the baths, and our 2 kids are at the farmhouse, and like I just had a massage, and I fell asleep, and I'm like, life doesn't get better than this. And we were planning to go to Esalen for our 30th this year. And then lately, I've been really enjoying working on Carolyn, like trying to make her feel better. And she had the really bad hip, and I would work on her automatically because it was her right hip, and I slept on her right side. So like I would just do it automatically, work on her in the middle of the night, and then so I moved my wedding ring to my pinky. So every time I put my hands on the table, I'll remember. Because she's in every great moment of my life since I was 19 has been with Carolyn. And really part of my heart died with her, and part of her heart's here. So I'm really lucky. And she'll be with me always.
Hi. That's blurry. So when my mom and I were on a hike not too long ago, she mentioned participating in a discussion about legacy, and she wondered about hers. She was trying to figure out what more she could do to make a positive and meaningful impact. I remember being very surprised and reassured her that, although I may have been a little biased, she already had a pretty amazing legacy. She raised 3 kind, thoughtful people, built a thriving practice where she helped people feel better and improve their quality of life, was active in her community, and was up on the latest medical and holistic research to help everyone in her circle of family, friends, community, and patients. That she continued to want to grow and help the world at large speaks to her strength of character and her spirit. I feel so lucky that I got her as my mom. I'm going to miss hiking, cooking, traveling, exploring, dancing, and swapping books with her, and being able to ask her advice on all things, whether they be medical, spiritual, or clothing related. She'll still be here with me while I do these things, of course. I'm just so going to miss being able to see, hear, and hug her. She was our safe place, our hub, our anchor. I love you, Mom.
Let's see if I can read my notes. Hello, I'm Donald.
And I'm Jean Ann.
Yeah, that's my part. We stand here together for support, since Carolyn was usually the one who spoke at family funerals. We're number 3
And 4.
of the 5 Martin children. As we have talked about Carolyn in the recent weeks, we've chose some things to share with you. Often before bedtime, our mother would play piano and we would sing. We would sing a lot. There were many songs we sang while our mom played the piano. Tea for Two, Caroline in the Morning, Puff the Magic Dragon, Blue Moon, Ain't She Sweet, The Marines' Hymn, Tiptoe Through the Tulips, Wendy, and of course, Carolyn's all-time favorite, Downtown. I swear we had that in there before Mandy did her thing. Traditionally, the last song of the evening would be an adaptation of Onward Christian Soldiers, adapted to Onward Martin Children marching off to bed. And this one was our cue to make it, start marching down the hallway into our beds.
Carolyn and I always shared a room. Through the years, Carolyn and I slept in many of the rooms in the house. We shared the blue room that we added flocked flower wallpaper to. At one point, we shared bunk beds in the living room that had been blocked off for privacy. And we shared the pink room in the back with Mary Lou. But she was older, and she got to stay up late. After being sent to bed, Carolyn and I would often play sock basketball with the laundry hamper. And our socks, which had conveniently been left on our feet. Carolyn was on the top bunk, I on a separate bed below, so I had rebound duty. It was all great fun, tossing and rebounding socks until one evening, one of Carolyn's shots missed the hamper. I mean, it missed the hamper more than once, but this shot disappeared. I mean, the sock disappeared. Really, I looked on the floor and under the bed. Carolyn got down from the top bunk. We turned on the light. We dismantled the whole room. No sock. And no one came to check on us. Anyway, we continued to look for the sock basically forever. So henceforth and forevermore, with us, this was referred to as the mystery of the missing green sock. Whenever something couldn't be found, well, the mystery of the missing green sock. Also at bedtime, Carolyn and I would lie awake and sing. I really don't remember anyone else singing with us, just us. We mostly sang Girl Scout songs, but our favorite was Today. And we were quite certain that our harmony was perfection. This was achieved by singing it repeatedly, over and over again, and again, and again.
Anytime Carolyn would get a new 45, she would play it over and over again. And she liked to write down the lyrics, and so therefore you had to stop and back up and repeat it over and over and over again to be able to get down all the lyrics. And I have this memory of her with the song 1974's Life is a Rock, But the Radio Rolled Me, which was an absolute classic for a week, I think. But there's just so many words. BB Bumble and the Stingers, Mata Hoople, Rachel Singers, Lonnie Mack and Irwin, Eddie, Here's My Ring, We're Going Steady, Take It Higher, Higher, Liar, Liar, Faust and Fire. Anyway, just crazy amount of words, and it was just back and forth to try to write down all those words on the record player. And the guy that sings this thing, it's like twice as fast as that.
So when Carolyn and Mary Lou and I shared a room, the walls were covered with the posters that came in Tiger Beat magazine, the Jackson Five, the Osmond Brothers, the Partridge Family with David Cassidy, and Bobby Sherman. But Carolyn didn't allow me to like Bobby Sherman because he belonged to Mandy. Carolyn's influence on my taste in music choices is clear. The Beatles, all the Beatles, Simon and Garfunkel, Bread, the Mamas and the Papas, Don McLean, and especially Janis Ian. But it wasn't all about music. We played games. Carolyn took delight in beating me at Perquacky, Scrabble, Boggle, anything with words. It was just so hard to win. It wasn't until I grew up that I realized she had a definite age advantage.
We used to get hand-me-down clothes. Back in the 60s, early 70s, everything had to be ironed. There was absolutely nothing that we had that didn't get ironed, and so it would always take a number of days from when it was washed to when it got back in the closet, except for the blue dress, which was Carolyn's size, and it was the first permanent press dress that we had, and
In the whole family.
in the whole family. And it was it would get washed, and it's back in the closet. And so she wore it a lot and got absolutely sick of that blue dress. So she took the scissors to it and cut some really large holes up in the chest on the dress. And my dad was so mad, and he told my mom, "You fix that dress and you make her wear it." So Mom, being super creative, she put 3 big colored circles up here, and then put stitched on a little girl down at the bottom and a little poodle. And that dress forever became known as the poodle dress. And as long as she could wear it, it was her absolute favorite dress. Oh, I got more. In grade school, Carolyn had appendicitis. And during that time, I made her, after she got back from the hospital, I made her a little doll out of a sponge. It's a little rectangular sponge, and glued on some wooden spools for legs and arms and a head. And wrote her name on it. It was supposed to be Carolyn, but it was Cannalee. And forever after that, she had a nickname of Cannalee.
The nicknames Carolyn had for me came from an elementary school campaign slogan, "Don't be a bean, vote for Jean." So bean nicknames became the theme for me. Beanhead, Beaner, Green Bean, Garbanzo were all top choices for Carolyn to call me. My close friends in college often even called me Beaner. And Beanhead has been a term of endearment that Carolyn used even up until the last time I saw her. So Carolyn was a role model for me in school. She was a math whiz, so I wanted to be one. She won the Zonta Math Award, so I won the Zonta Math Award in 8th grade. In high school, when I was a freshman and she was a junior, she helped me arrange my schedule so that I got the good teachers. We even had Spanish together with Mr. Gabidis for a year. I went to her high school senior awards night and watched her take the stage to receive awards 17 times. I counted. During my senior year in high school, I went to visit her at Chapman College at Christmas break. When she learned that I had not yet selected or applied to any schools, she pulled out a college catalog. I mean, who has that? And we chose schools within driving distance to visit. Everything was closed, and my decision was mostly based on the feel of the campus and which one was the prettiest. But the next day, I found the school I would attend for my undergrad. It was, in fact, such a great school that she decided that she would like to transfer to it as well. Now, I was the 4th of 5 in the family, so when she asked me if that was okay, my response was, "No, you can't. It's my school." So she and her new husband packed up and moved to New York, where she attended Cornell University, on scholarship, of course. When they decided to start a family, she paused her education. Shortly after, when they moved back to California, I was a little less territorial and welcomed her to attend the University of Redlands with me. I visited their off-campus apartment and often soaked up time with Jennifer, who was the cutest. Carolyn and I both graduated the same year. her with honors and a preschooler. She went on to chiropractic college from there.
When Carolyn was in chiropractic college, I was living in Fullerton, and though we lived in different cities, we were close. So we saw each other often. My fondest memories of that time were taking Carolyn and Jennifer to Disneyland Christmas Eve, and we did that 3 or 4 years in a row. And we stayed at Disneyland until Jennifer needed to go to sleep. That was just super good.
So for Carolyn and me, it was necessary to see each other often if we needed to clean out our closets. Because who but your sister would tell you the truth and make you get rid of clothes you had an emotional attachment to, but they had long outlived their stylishness. One time when we were cleaning out my closet, I pulled out a blue pinstriped skirt for review, and Carolyn said, "Oh, I remember that skirt. That reminds me of your I'll Pray For You stage." Apparently, she had named the phases of my life, and there was a period of time that I often responded to her with, "I'll pray for you." As decades passed, we spent much time in each other's closets. Sometimes the clothes traveled between our closets, and there in the closet, many important conversations happened amidst the clothes that were being discarded. From the day I was born until October 10th, Carolyn was a constant in my life. We held different points of view on a lot of things, and on occasion, we talked about the topics we differed on and agreed that, yep, we still disagreed, and we moved on. We rarely had arguments, but when we did, she spoke her mind, and she listened. She used I statements and instructed me to do the same. A few years ago, we found ourselves sitting in an airport rehashing a difficult misunderstanding that had been hurtful to both of us. When we saw each other's perspectives and both apologized, it was easy to forgive and embrace in the airport. Carolyn, our sister, our friend, we will miss you forever.
I now invite Jan Evans up to share.
The best hiking buddies are the ones who make you take the hardest trails. And that was you, Carolyn, always pointing to some impossible peak with a gleam in your eye. "It'll be good for us," you'd say, and up we'd go. One of our hikes took us 5 days on the Trans-Catalina Trail. 2 determined women with sun umbrellas bobbing above our packs like exotic birds, looking ridiculous and feeling brilliant in our makeshift shade. We laughed about how we looked and how we felt. Hours and miles dissolved into conversations that never ran dry. Stories of our kids, our dogs, the battles won, book recommendations traded like trail mix. The shared gratitude of survivors who knew exactly what it meant to stand on a mountaintop together. You taught me that the best views come after the hardest climbs, that friendship, like hiking, is about showing up, mile after mile, peak after peak, through both searing heat and cold rain. The trails feel quieter now without your voice beside me, but I still carry you with me on every hike, my irreplaceable friend, my fellow adventurer, still pointing the way up. Thank you. I love you.
Barbara.
It was Christmas Eve, December 24th in 1997, right here at Emerson. There was a Christmas Eve service going on here in the sanctuary, and Carolyn and I found ourselves with the squirmy and squawky 1-year-old Tyler and 2-year-old Madeline having to remove ourselves to the foyer out there. And it was in that moment that we exchanged this look, moms of little kids exchange a look and a shrug that kind of said, babies, what are you gonna do? And from that moment on, over the next 27 years, Carolyn became one of my closest, dearest, and best friends. She meant so much to so many people. She was one of the most grounded, centered, thoughtful, generous, and brilliant people that I know. A lot of people depended on her, and she took care of the needs of others, often putting them before herself. She was a rock. She was always there with an ear, a shoulder, and sage counsel. We had developed at a certain point a tradition for our two families to go to Sequoia National Park for President's Day weekend multiple years. That only stopped because the 4 kids started growing up and going off to college, which we both decided was actually quite rude. I mean, Then a couple of years ago, we started a different tradition. Just the 4 of us, the geezers, started going to the Central Coast for long weekends in the spring. That's where Carolyn and Scott, Scarolyn is their, celebrity name. That's where Carolyn and Scott introduced us to Rummikub. And we soon became as obsessed as they were with it. The first night we played, it was 5.5 straight hours. And then finally at 2:30 in the morning, it was the very grounded, centered, and wise Carolyn who finally said, I think it's bedtime. I realize that 2 years in a row doesn't a tradition make, but that was the intention. We talked about going back year after year, every spring, and planned on it for many springs in the future. And now we won't. As serious and centered as Carolyn was, there was another part to her. She would get this very particular kind of twinkle, sparkle in her eye, and a particular kind of little smile on her face. It was part imp and part whimsical dragonfly. The fun we had and the things we got up to, the mischief we made. Whimsical dragonfly, I miss you. We all miss you so much. But I guess it's time, whimsical dragonfly, to fly free.
Zoe Hansen.
So I met Carolyn in Al-Anon about 12 years ago. And we instantly started talking, and she was a chiropractor, and I needed a chiropractor, and she needed me because I have a degree in interior design, and I wasn't doing anything with it. So we agreed she would take care of my back, and I would take care of her interior. So went to her house and did plenty of painting, and because I'm the type that I want to do it myself, I don't want to hire somebody to do it. And she was right there with me painting, put a big mural in Sydney's bedroom, a wallpaper mural, which neither of us had ever done. So it was pretty funny. we had gotten it almost completely done, and there was this one paper that we just couldn't quite get centered, and then it started to tear, and we were both looking at each other like, we can do this, we can fix this, and we fixed it, and Sydney was happy, and I got to meet her family, and they're so welcoming, and you go to their house, and there's music, and there's dancing, and then we got to do 20 minutes of yoga, and even if you're wearing jeans, we're doing yoga. So I said, all right. And one time in particular, which was kind of funny, we painted her office, and it was not the current office, but the one before that, and she was very excited that we were going to do color, and she goes, oh, Zoe, I'm so scared to put color on the wall. And I just said, let's just do it. I know the right color that's going to bring everything out. And so we started painting, and she was in a different room, and I was trying to move the floor. I think we used a sheet, and I was trying to move the sheet, and I kept trying to pull it, and all of a sudden I heard a noise, and I looked, and the entire gallon spilled all over the carpet. And I was like, oh my God, she's gonna kill me. And she comes in, she's like, what's going on? And I go, look, I spilled the entire gallon. She goes, I have something. So she ran and got the steamer, and she was steaming away, and I mean, it came out of the carpet. I couldn't believe it. And then I said, I'll pay for the next gallon. But she was very kind, and we had plenty of stories, and we went shopping, and she said that she was in trouble because I'm with her and now we're going to spend lots of money. And I'm like, no, we're not. We're going to TJ Maxx. We're going to Home Goods. We're going to keep it on the low. But I am just in shock that she's gone. But I know that we're all here for the same reason, and I know that she's here with us, and I don't have any notes, but I'm winging it, but I love her, I miss her, and I'm so glad that there's so many people here that you have to stand. I know she's here with us. Thank you.
Vera?
Hi. I've been listening with my ears and my heart, and everyone here is here for the same thing, just the love of Carolyn and missing her, and it's just been moving me so much that I didn't even know if I could read what I'd written, but I will try. I'm Vera, and I'm another good friend of Carolyn's, and I don't even know how many years, a lot of years. It seems like she's been very, very much a part of my life since I met her teaching IBP, and I just lamb into it. So I'm wondering, how do I say goodbye to someone who's been with me so much of my life? It seems as if whenever there was an event, important or minuscule, the first one I wanted to share it with was Carolyn. There's almost nothing that I see or do or think that isn't somehow connected to her. From the sublime to the ridiculous, she was always there. Whether it was helping me get through my mother's death or a stupid comedy routine on YouTube, she was the one I wanted to share most of it with. Often I would just leave a message on her office machine when I knew she was working. I'd say, I know you're working, no need to call back, but you gotta hear this one. I can't climb a mountain, put on a pair of running shoes, see a reflection of my posture in the mirror, look at a bottle of vitamins, wear a t-shirt that we bought together, or even think about going clothing shopping, or see the artwork that she hung in my house, or eat mocha mochi without remembering toasting the tiny balls on toothpicks at our favorite Chinese restaurant without thinking of her. Hang on. Okay, my heart goes out to all of those who loved her so deeply. Her husband, Scott, her 3 children, Tyler, Cindy, and Jenny. and her sisters and brother, along with her myriad of friends and patients, many of whom are here in this room, sharing our mutual loss. So, how do I say goodbye? I'd like to do it by sharing a Hebrew prayer called We Remember Them. Now, I know Carolyn's not Jewish, by a long shot, but we often joked about her being an honorary Jew, so I think she might appreciate this. It's not the upbeat that everyone's been hearing, but I like it. At the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the skies and the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us, and we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. When we have a joy we crave to share, we remember them. When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them. For as long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. And I love you, Carolyn. I'll miss you forever, like everyone in this room, and thank you for joining in.
Oh, okay, great. So we're now going to have a brief time where anyone who would like to speak can come up and share one brief memory or word that reminds them of Carolyn. So keep in mind there's a lot of people here, but if you would like to share a brief memory, you're welcome to do that. And we do ask you to share your name just so we know who you are. You can come up to this mic here. We can form a line coming this way.
My name is Natalie Elbaum. I've known Carolyn since Tyler was born, and I remember coming to the office, and I feel terrible, I can't remember her name, who used to hold him. Oh, yeah. And she was just the most wonderful person. And when I'd come in and something was wrong, and I'd say, well, it isn't so terrible. And she'd say, you're entitled to have your feelings. I trusted her more than any doctor. Anytime I came to a doctor, I asked her advice. I was just there October 10th, and we heard all about Jen was on her 10th year honeymoon anniversary. I said, I can't believe it's 10 years. And Tyler was cooking, and we talked about all the recipes. And Sydney and her beautiful illustrations. We got a book for my great-granddaughter, because she followed. My granddaughter is a little close to Jennifer's age, and we went through it all together. And I can't imagine the world without her. In fact, we were teasing, because I met Oscar when I was 15, and she teased because she said she's a cougar. And she was just, everybody said it, just the most incredible person in the world. She will be so missed by everybody she touched, by her goodness and her caring. And she left behind such a beautiful family who I feel I've known over the years. Thank you.
name is Carol Mondello. I've been a patient of Dr. Carolyn's for 17 years. I was going through cancer treatment during that time, and I was referred to her by another angel. Dr. Carolyn, over 17 years, was not only my doctor, but also my friend. And I'm going to find it hard to read this, but I shared a post on Facebook after it was announced that she passed away. So bear with me. Scott and family, I'm at a loss for words. I just had a treatment with Dr. Carolyn last month. I had moved to Sacramento 2 years ago, had been unable to find another chiropractor as great as Dr. Carolyn, so I would fly down here every 3 months when I was used to seeing her almost weekly for my back issues and whatever, but that's how much she meant to me. I cannot tell you what she meant to me and my well-being these past 17 years. She helped my body heal through cancer and various injuries, many, many injuries. And we shared our life stories from raising our kids. Tyler, you're 1 month older than my son Justin, and we talked about the joys of having a son and seeing them grow and evolve into wonderful human beings. We talked about our love for hiking, and she gave me tips on how to lead a healthier life. I don't know how many of you are patients, but one of our biggest things that we would crack up over is she would teach me, in order to help me stretch my neck and shoulders, was a move called the pit sniff, and we would just giggle over that. I demonstrated, but you don't need to see that. All this and more. I have never had a more caring, a more encouraging, a more knowledgeable provider than Dr. Carolyn. She and I we called ourselves anatomy geeks for our shared love of anatomy. And you know, not too many people out there have a love for anatomy, but she and I did, and so that was kind of another thing that we joke about. I will miss her terribly, not only as my healthcare provider, but as a friend. And my heart goes out to all of you. If I'm feeling the loss, I can only imagine what it must be like for all of you here, but I am eternally grateful for that woman. I call her Dr. Carolyn out of respect, because even though she was my friend, I had such appreciation for the knowledge that she shared, and she was so willing to share that with her patients. I am so grateful to her in my life, and I just thank you all for listening.
We have time for a couple more people.
I'm known as Natalie Elbaum's husband. And I think I can sum up how we all feel about Carolyn in one satirical phrase, and that is, she rubbed us the right way.
Hello, everybody. My name is Matt. Carolyn was my mom's boss for many years. My mom was the office manager at Martin Holistic Chiropractic Center. How can I help you? I'll always remember her taking me into the larger office on Fallbrook and doing cartwheels, dipping our hands into the wax and making little figures over and over and over again until she said, "Matt, you made my wax all dirty. I have to now clean it out." My mom and Carolyn were like sisters. They had their ups and their downs, but at the end of the day, there was nothing but love between them. My mom also was the one to pick up Sydney and Tyler and take them to school, and I was actually their babysitter. I can't thank Carolyn enough for opening up my life and saying, hey, let's go be naughty. Let's go do these cartwheels. To singing little songs here and there and talking to Elvis, her cockatiel, which I got to see last night, and he danced for me, and it was so awesome. But yeah, I really came up here for my mom because I know that it's really hard for her to do this because she loved her so much. Carolyn came to my grandma's memorial just a few months back, and I could see it in my mom's eyes, the appreciation that she had for this woman because she showed up. After so many years of not seeing each other because my mom had moved away. But at the end of the day, she looked at me and she goes, wow, that really is my sister right there, you know? So I'm gonna miss her so very much. Scott, thank you for having me up here. Kids, I know that you guys didn't really remember me when you saw me last night, but yeah, it's been a long time. And Jen, forever. Love you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today at Emerson to celebrate Carolyn's life. It's been moving to be in community and to remember such an incredible person. As we move forward today, we do not know what ultimately lies ahead. We know only this, that destiny carries us onward towards some greater mystery, and that the life we share is fleeting. Reminded of life's transcendence, may we be inspired to use each day wisely and to live with bravery, curiosity, generosity, and kindness, just like Carolyn did. Thus, we make the memory of Carolyn a source of true blessing. In remembrance of Carolyn, let us say together, Amen. Amen. Thank you. Now they're going to sing I Fly Away, and you're welcome to sing along. We'll have the lyrics up on the screen.
One glad morning, when my life is over, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a wasteland no end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away.
So if you're open to holding the hand of the person next to you, just we're going to say the Serenity Prayer the way we say it in my family. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Play ball. Okay, and this next song is for us, really. So it has two sides to it. Like, so if somebody tells me that I'm grieving the wrong way, really I respond that, hey, how does it feel to be alone? Because no one knows how I feel. And the flip side of that is 95% of my life is Carolyn. And I don't know where I'm going. And like my mom, too, she depends on Carolyn for lots of stuff. She depends on me for lots of stuff, and my mom doesn't know where she's going either. But Bob Dylan offers us to feel. So like, how does it feel to be all alone? How does it feel with the destination unknown? How does it feel to be a Rolling Stone? So this is a time we can get up and hug each other, and why they play this last song.
Thank you, Scott. I'm Robert Morgan Fisher, and this is the band Pit Sniff. Once upon a time, you dressed so fine, through the bumps of dime in your prime, didn't you? People called, where at all, you're bound to fall. You thought that they were all kidding you. You used to laugh about everybody that was hanging out. Now you don't talk so loud. Now you don't seem so proud about having to be scrounging your next meal. How does it feel? How does it feel to be on your own with no direction home? A complete unknown, like a rolling stone. Ah, you've gone to the finest school, all right, Miss Lonely, but you know you only used to get juiced in it. Nobody's ever taught you how to live out on the street. Now you're gonna have to get used to it. You said you never compromise with a mystery tramp, but now you realize he's not selling any alibis as you stare into the vacuum of his eyes and ask, do you wanna make a deal? How does it feel? How does it feel to be on your own with no direction home? A complete unknown, like a rolling stone. Ah, you never turned around to see the frowns on the clowns and the jugglers when they did tricks for you. You never understood that it ain't no good. You shouldn't let other people get your kicks for you. You used to ride on a chrome horse with your diplomat who carried on his shoulder a Siamese cat. Ain't it hard when you discovered that he really wasn't where it's at? After he took from you everything he could steal, how does it feel? How does it feel to be on your own with no direction home? A complete unknown, like a rolling stone. Ah, princess on the steeple and all the pretty people thinking and drinking that they got it made. Exchanging all kinds of precious gifts. Well, you to take that diamond ring. You better pawn it, babe. You used to be so amused at Napoleon and rags and the language that he used. Go to him and now he calls you can't refuse. When you got nothing to lose. You're invisible now, got no secrets to conceal. How does it feel? How does it feel to be on your own with no direction home? A complete unknown, like a rolling stone. Let's hear it for Pit Sniff. Adam. And my man on bass.
Really good job recovering on that rhythmic shift on I'll Fly Away. You kind of skipped and dropped the beat. Did you guys practice that? I didn't know. No wonder. Well, Rolling Stone's a little easier. But I mean, yeah, he came back in out of a jam, like a beat or two earlier. It's okay. That's right. You made it work. Yeah, those things can happen live. Anything can happen. Kept it going. The rhythm's